or at eeservices.com.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Guess what? Our favorite sponsor's back.
Oh, it's the puzzle dude from Unidragon.
That's right, Unidragon. Yep, Unidragon.com. They have a brand new item. It's called the Playful Parrots. It's a 5-in-1 puzzle that comes on out that actually comes all the way up to the brand new size, which is the royal size. Now they're small, medium, king size, and royal size. So you can get 7 times bigger than the standard puzzle. What do you think about the Playful Parrots? Being a pirate adventurer that you are, Mike, what say you?
Oh, the owl's jealous.
The owl's jealous? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's the owl saying about the parrots?
Oh, there's 5 of them and 1 of him.
That's right. That's what happens. You know what? When you're the original, sometimes you get replaced and upgraded. So if you want to get upgraded in your puzzles, now's the time to go to Unidragon.com. Again, that's Unidragon.com. Or you can always visit Amazon.com and just type in Unidragon. Don't be fooled by other imitation puzzle makers. Only get your true puzzle from Unidragon.com. They're the best, and they're the world's leader in wooden puzzles. Now make sure when you go, you decide to use your checkout code TechTime for a 10% discount. The discount expires on August 1st of 2021. You can go to Amazon, you can go to Unidragon.com, or you can go to TechTimeRadio.com/sponsors. Click on the order now at Amazon, and boom, you'll get it within 2 to 6 days. Your puzzle will be there, and guess what? They're no longer 3 sizes, Mike. Guess how many they are now?
They're 4 sizes.
That's right. They're 4 sizes. Make sure you visit Unidragon.com. And remember, our #1 sponsor says thank you, and the owl is jealous. We would like to thank Podcorn for sponsoring this episode of Tech Time Radio. Explore sponsorship opportunities and start monetizing your podcast by signing up at podcorn.com/podcasters. Let me tell you about Podcorn. Podcorn is an absolute must for any podcaster starting out. Now, when we started out Tech Time Radio, we started out in a back office with a couple of mics. We expanded to a studio, and then now, as you can see, we're on the radio and have distribution into other markets. Having the ability to have Podcorn at the start of our podcast would have been a dream come true. Guess what? With Podcorn, you now have the amazing opportunity for podcasts to receive sponsorship, such as host reads, interview segments, and topical discussions. With Podcorn, there's no middleman. Podcasters of all sizes can browse and choose opportunities right on their platform, set their own rates, and collaborate with brands directly without exclusivities. You never give up the rights of your podcast in Podcorn, and they're here to support you everywhere possible. Visit podcorn.com. Again, that's podcorn.com. Podcorn is a true success for those starting their podcast dreams.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mum.
Welcome to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mum, the show that makes you go,
Are you suffering from the heat today?
Technology news of the week. Not yet, but you know what?
You brought ice rocks.
I did it. So
we have whiskey on the rocks
We
today.
have whiskey on the rocks. That's what happens on Father's Day when your son buys you. He knows I like whiskey. He knows that we're on the show. He's kind of a big fan of you, Mike.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to make sure our whiskey could now be cool.
And you brought them today because it's 98 degrees here in the
Pacific Northwest. That's correct. Hopefully you're enjoying our live show today. So if you're out doing yard work today,
tell us when we're live.
Okay, well, hang on. Well, if you're outside today and you're working in the garden and you miss our show, then shame on you. Best of luck. You can actually get back up from that heat stroke. But if you're listening to us in a nice, cool shade, or if you're listening to a rebroadcast, we are excited to have you a part of our show. Now, our live show is on Twitch, YouTube, techtimeradio.com, Facebook Live, and on KKNW 1150 AM, our station, on Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m. So if you're catching our show on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not 4 to 6 p.m., or Sunday, you're catching a rebroadcast.
Man, I'm so glad you're here to tell us.
That's right. Okay. We're here to talk 2 hours of technology without having to geek out. We are segmented into stylized radio show. On our first hour, do you hate robocalls?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you're going to love what's coming out June 30th. We're going to be talking about that.
I already know.
So that's going to be pretty exciting. All right. We also are going to be talking about Buzzfeed has decided to go public. Isn't that
It's about time.
Is it? Yeah, you know what?
They've been around for
They're the
ever.
National Enquirer equivalent, back that used to be hanging in your newsstand when you used to go of information on the internet. So they are it. They are the number one news gossip station
Gossip news.
in the internet. We also have a 118-year-old sports franchise. We're going to be talking about that regarding social media magnet. We're going to be featuring lots of hot news and what happens when the heat gets hot. What happens to your internet? Do you know? We're going to be talking about that because internet and internet services are affected with extreme coldness and
like
extreme
right now.
hot. It is in the Pacific Northwest. We're at a heat wave, all time.
Yeah, everybody's
high.
dying here.
I know.
This is like normal for me.
I know you got long pants on and long sleeve shirt, Mr. Arizonian. You're like, what's going on, people?
This doesn't faze me at all, but everybody else out there is dying.
Is
They're
dying
like,
right
oh
now?
my God, I'm melting.
Well, we're going to be talking about that. On our second hour, we have our letter segment. We're also going to be talking to Sharon Cooksey, Kitty spokesman. We're going to be talking about very cool technology that uses a network but doesn't have to use your home network. So we've been talking about that regarding
its own network.
It has its own network, and so we'll be talking all about
the
very
Internet
cool
of Things by itself.
That's correct. It's the Internet of Things without having to be connected to a connected device. We're also going to be talking in your favorite subject, protect yourself today, on that second hour. We're going to be talking about how you can hack an ATM with your cell phone. You know, you see all those television shows where you see people that can just remotely take care of an ATM. What if you had an ATM jackpot? We're going to talk about that, where essentially it spits out
I
money.
could pay off my car really fast.
You could do that, couldn't you? All right, we got plenty of information, and hopefully within the 2 hours we'll have some technology that will make you laugh and something that will make you go,
Make you cry.
All right, so before we start out our show, we always got to interact with our question of the day here for Mr. Gourdet. It's our loaded question on the go.
What is it?
Today is, what is the easiest way to make $100,000?
Well, today it's selling air conditioners.
It's selling air conditioners? Yeah, in the Pacific Northwest, you can't find one, can you?
We were just talking about some guy on Facebook that sold a $250 window air conditioner for over $700 because everybody is dying.
That's correct. Everybody right now are looking to purchase air conditioning units. We have like 4 of them at our house. So we have one for each of our kids' rooms, one for our room, and then we have one kind of in a central area.
I have central air.
And do you really?
I do.
Oh, you're so lucky.
So
this is like, again, you're Arizonian.
Well,
this is like no big deal,
That's
right?
one of those wisdom things you bring with you, you know.
When you were looking for a house, you say, hey, I got to have a house with centralized air.
Well, I had it installed.
Oh, did you? Okay, you had it installed, so it wasn't there previously. You just had it installed. Just think of your air conditioning man right now. Right now, I would be calling everybody, and it'd just be like,
busy.
Yeah, he's like, guess what? We're now 24/7. Okay, well, we're really excited about that. That was a great answer.
And it's only going to last a few days, and everybody's going to start crying about how cold it is.
That's right, because it's going back down to 70s again. And
I know, everybody's going to be whining about that.
It'll be like, oh, okay. Well, if you'd like to be a part of our show, you can absolutely engage us by calling in the studio, talking to David, and then asking a question on the air. That's 425-373-5527. Or if you're calling anywhere toll-free in the Western Washington area at 188-298-KKNW or 188-298-5569. Or you can also go to Twitter and hashtag TechTime Radio, and we have an opportunity to read that on the air. Or go to our Twitch Steam and put in a question, or even help us out. Last week we had a couple listeners that helped us out with some corrections on some of the stuff we were saying regarding those atoms and fusion and everything like that. So
the difference between fusion and fission.
That's correct. Next week's show is going to be fantastic. Our 4th of July event. We have military individuals that will be a part of the show talking about some security aspects. So
tell them the real news. What's the real news?
It should be pretty exciting. It'll be a great show, and I'm sure everybody's going to want to turn in.
Yeah, you're leaving one important part out.
Oh, what is that, Mr. Brown?
Do you want me to say it?
You can say it. Well, you can say it.
Nathan's not going to be here.
That's
Thanks
right.
for stealing my thunder.
That's my job.
That's all right. So
I just got a finger. I just got a.
You did.
I just got a finger wave.
David just said thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I will be remote, and we will be having Mr. Gourdet and Gwen Way will be on the show. So that should be pretty exciting too. So I'll turn in and listen, and then I'll become a big fan, and then I'll start hitting you up on Twitch during the whole time. Asking you questions.
Yeah, great.
All right, here we go. Well, let's get our episode off with our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
What's happening in the world of technology? This is our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
All right. Story number 1. Do you hate robocalls?
Oh, man.
You're going to love what's coming on June 30th. Voice providers have just days before the implementation of stir and shaken technology will be to the curb for robocallers. So what is stir and shaken? They would decide to do a James Bond type
Shake and bake.
So shake and bake or stir and yeah, okay. So here's what it is though. The big deadline to fight and beat those annoying robocalls is coming June 30th. As the date approaches, every major voice provider in the U.S., including companies like AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and cable provider Comcast, will have to implement a technology called stir/shaken. The good news for everyone here is the phones have been jingling and the bogus phone calls are now going to be routed, and they should stop. This is the number one consumer complaint regarding cell phone and different technologies.
Like 2 years ago,
Yep.
I was getting at least 4 or 5 of those an hour.
Yeah, I get a lot of them. And it's very crazy because some of the times I got Chinese people talking to me. Sometimes I get
just stopped using my phone.
Did you?
Yeah, I programmed special ringtones for all the people I know, and then I just ignored everything, which is really a bad idea when you're trying to run a business.
So that would be tough if somebody's trying to call you for an unknown number.
But out of one business call, you would get like 15 robocalls.
Yep. So this is what's going to happen. The U.S. consumers received just under 22 billion robocalls in the first 5 months of this year. So just in this year, 22 billion. It's a pace to hit over 52 billion robocalls in the year itself.
Yeah, it's the most irritating.
Robocall callers essentially are dialing recorders. Some businesses actually use this for the correct way. Think of a pharmacy. If you had your prescription available at CVS or any of these local deals, and they call you up and say, congratulations. Well, they don't say congratulations.
Congratulations.
Those are the robocalls.
Your prescription is ready.
But they'll come on and they'll say your prescription is ready. Come down and pick it up. I mean, so there are some reasons to have this.
You're a thousands prescription customer.
But there are more illegal robocalls than anything else. And they always offer you the ability to have billions of dollars in win prizes and other information.
Mine is always... my car
insurance
is expiring. I can't even think. Never mind.
I get FBI ones that says my
I get those.
The FBI is trying to get a hold of me, and,
I get
if I don't
all the time too.
If I hit 4, then I can be transferred. So the last time I got one of these, which I think was either Thursday or Friday, I actually hit the 4 button to be transferred. And literally, if the FBI is trying to get a hold of me, I had to wait like 4 minutes before someone came on in with an international language to answer the phone. So the FBI must not be that concerned.
Then he tried to sell you. He was trying to sell you insurance or something.
So we talked about this at the production meeting. So then he forgot that he was supposed to be the FBI. So he started selling me something completely different, which this has nothing to do with the letter segment, but it was so funny. And then I said, well, aren't you the FBI? And then he's like, well, hang on a second. He puts me on hold, and then he transfers me to himself again, acting as an FBI.
Was he a different voice?
No, he just came back as himself.
These agents.
With the FBI agent. How am I here to help you? I'm like, oh, okay, you got to be killing me.
Okay.
So essentially, the scammers moving forward are going to have to pay $10,000 per violation of the law. Now, when you ask the FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr if this is actually going to be a solution, he says, so far, the long-term solution is still difficult. We'll see how much progress we can make because it's very much a slug-a-mole, which is what he calls
Whack-a-mole.
Process. Yes, I didn't want to maybe use whack-a-mole. Maybe that was too big of a name, so he did slug-a-mole. Process to
whack a slug.
So essentially what that's saying is that this will probably be really great for the first 5 to 6 months, and then people will figure out ways to get around it. Yeah. All right. Story number 2. Buzzfeed, a 15-year-old digital media company, announced Thursday it plans to go public via a merger with publicly traded special acquisition company. We have some audio here to listen a little bit about that.
Buzzfeed announcing a deal to go public through a SPAC merger. It'll be combining with blank check company 895th Avenue Partners. Buzzfeed has been growing through acquisitions, and the deal would provide more capital to continue to pursue that path.
All right, so this is targeting a $1.5 billion valuation. The deal is expected to close in the fourth quarter. Buzzfeed also plans to acquire Complex Networks, a digital publisher that specializes in streetwear music and culture, for $300 million before the merger takes place. They also have a deal up for $20 million in cash to purchase 2 other companies. So essentially, Buzzfeed is purchasing companies quickly so that they can then merge in the fourth quarter and become publicly traded on the stock market.
Hey, there's our
5-minute bell. All right.
Bell.
So this is let's just talk about how much do you think BuzzFeed generated in annual revenue last year?
I don't know.
$321 million.
Nice.
So they are largely profitable. The company is estimating that they will have a gross revenue profit of over $654 million in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So they're going to be profitable at $654 million in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And they're going to go public.
All right.
Okay. Last story.
All right, are you going to go for your last story? Because I know you really want to.
Well, this was brought up by an intern, right? Jamar brought this story up into our production meeting, so I did not think of this.
You took it and ran with
I
it.
did. I said, Jamar, this is a great story. So let's play that audio first. Can we do that, David? Let's see what we got here.
Eccentric tech entrepreneur John Mcafee died after hanging himself in a jail cell in Barcelona. That's after the Spanish High Court said he would be extradited to the U.S. to face tax evasion charges. Mcafee was 75. He had also been charged with cryptocurrency-related fraud in New York. After selling his eponymous antivirus software company in 2011, McAfee's behavior became increasingly erratic. He fled Belize in 2012 after police sought to question him over the murder of a neighbor. He married a woman he had hired as a prostitute while on the run, and he ran for president as a libertarian in 2016.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the other two, but I don't remember him running for president.
Yeah. So, yeah, he passed away. I don't want to make fun of anybody passing away because that's very sad that somebody passed away. But I think our McAfee stories that I had previously, I kind of made fun of him, and now I won't be able to make fun of him anymore. So this will be the last story. So.
He's got a legacy.
So he's got a legacy of making illegal software and then having it so his legal software could take care of it. So, yes, I think his legacy will catch up to him. I think people will come on out and talk about additional stuff. And so he was a technology giant in the field.
Yeah.
He'll be greatly missed, but not by me. All right, we're going to go and take a commercial break. When we come on back, we got lots to talk about. So we'll see you after that.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, what's going on?
Have you heard about 180 Consulting?
No.
I love these guys. You know how much I avoid working with copy vendors, right?
Actually, I get to hear about it all the time.
Not anymore, because guess what? The guys at 180 Consulting took over the entire process. They assessed our needs, worked directly with the vendors on my behalf, and helped us understand our option. No sales fluff, just good information so we can make the right decision.
Well, that sounds good. How do they get paid?
Their only compensation comes from a small share of the cost savings they create. They work for us, and it's a win-win.
You know, that sounds like a no-brainer.
There's two ways to reach them. You can get them at info@180-consulting.com or visit them online at www.180-consulting.com.
www.180-consulting.com.
Thank you, Mike. 180-consulting.com.
Hi, I'm Bernadette Pager, host of An Informed Life Radio. In an age when the term misinformation is used to silence criticism and debate about COVID-19, vaccines, and more, we're bringing you doctors, lawyers, and scientists to discuss the missing information about your health and medical freedom. An Informed Life Radio airs right here on KKNW every Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. We're starting a real health revolution, one conversation at a time. Join us. All right, welcome back to TechTime Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Moe. Mike, what did you think about the whiskey during the break?
It's really good.
All right, well, this is the Ezra Brooks 99 proof bourbon whiskey. It's $25 a bottle. It is Scotland malt, sherry, spice, and floral aromas and flavors that dominate the malt gentle Scott special signature of 12 hand-chosen single malts.
It's got a slow burn, but it's a good tasting burn.
It really does taste good.
Yeah.
So I think so. Mr. Miller, who didn't like our whiskey last week, even though we both liked it, so he liked it. He thought this was pretty good, and it is a sour. It's a little bit of a sour, a sour mash bourbon whiskey. So we got more to drink of that. So that's fantastic. You know what's really bad about this?
We have
stones?
to drink more whiskey.
We're gonna have to drink more whiskey because it literally took up half the glass there. So it's not really a shot. It's like a half a shot.
Dang it!
All right. Well, let's move on to
our next segment. We have an expert that is going to be joining us. Essentially, we have Dominique Enhorn. First, he is not an American. He is a French businessman who has earned his fortune in the U.S. digital revolution. 2 years back, he left the smog of Los Angeles, but not to retire. His project was ambitious to set up the world's largest rural startup incubator and accelerator called Unicorn, and turn a 118-year-old franchise of rugby, Charlotte Rugby, into a social media powerhouse. This SEO expert is joining us from France, where it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's start our next segment.
This is a segment we call Ask the Experts.
All right, we're excited about having our founder and CEO on the line here. Dom, tell us a little bit about yourself. Thank you for joining. What time is it in France right now? I know it's really late.
It's more drinking time on my side than on your side. That's what I know.
Oh, is that what we know? Okay. All right. Is that
that's what time it is.
That's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I think. So Dom, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about how you first had an online art auction company that you've sold. Tell us a little bit of your background before we start asking some questions here.
Sure. Well, I grew up in France, half French, half German. Moved to the U.S. in 1993. Immediately got immersed in the digital marketing space. My first foray in that space revolved around a online art auction. I can't draw, so I was always fascinated by art. And it took off early on. Was purchased by a larger company about a year later. Continued in the same space in the late 90s, early 2000s. Had a lot of experience in the digital travel space, online travel space, as well as in the finance space. And, I left France for the US intending to stay 2 weeks. I came back 25 years later, which was in 2018, and launched Unicorn with a Q, which today is one of the largest, if not the largest, incubator and accelerator of technology startups.
So tell us a little bit about that. We're going to spend a lot more time on the rugby stuff so Dom and I had a nice conversation. I think it was like a 15-minute conversation that went to 45 minutes. So we talked about a lot of different areas. But let's talk about specifically Unicorn, right? Because that's your main company that you work at, probably 9 to 5, not really, but you probably work at there 9 to 5, and then you work from 5 to 2 in the morning at your sports process of how it goes. So tell us a little bit about Unicorn, what it's about, what your plans are, and some of the investor aspects of that.
Yeah. So, initially the idea was to provide a healthier living space outside of big metropolitan areas, outside of big cities, to young and older startup entrepreneurs. So that was roughly we had the idea in 2017. I always intended to move back to France at some point. We packed our bags early 2018, set up for the move. As we moved, we knew that we wouldn't be moving from Los Angeles to Paris. So my wife and I, we crisscrossed France. We visited 56 medium to small size cities. We settled on Sala because of its sheer beauty, and we figured, why not set up shop here? Beautiful rivers, 1,001 castles in a 30-mile radius, and we just did it. We just went for it, and things grew very, very quickly. Obviously, COVID accelerated the pace, the exodus from big cities to smaller towns, including in France and in surrounding countries. Today, we're roughly 60 people inside of Unicorn from 27 different countries.
Fantastic. That tells you that, you can still be prosperous during the COVID-19 aspects if you can pivot and change and dynamically provide value for individuals in the market itself.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you, I'm consulting for a French oven place. So let me ask you this question here. Do you know of a Leconte stove by chance?
I'm not sure why you need an oven with the weather you got right there right now. So
okay,
he's a glutton for punishment.
So I'm curious. I've never been into the French stove areas, but I was consulting.
No, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. French and Italian stoves. I don't know them. It's not my area, but there are quite a few of them. Yes,
there's quite a few. Okay, well I had to ask the question. If you would have said yes, I would have been. Oh, that's amazing, because I
Way to go.
There you go. Okay. All right. Well, let's continue.
Let's move on.
That didn't go as good as I thought it would have. Okay. All right. So let's talk about turning a 118-year-old franchise into a social media darling. Okay. So I had the ability of owning a minor league basketball team in the Pacific Northwest. It was a dream come true on my bucket list, and it was a financial suck unlike I've ever done money before. And so we tried to do social media, and I think we were like the starlight of the whole league itself. But what happened is the league wasn't really good with social media or any aspects of that. So it really brought all the social media aspects that we were doing down. So let's talk first, Dom, about this. Let's talk about, you took over a team. What was the first thing that you looked at to do after purchasing a team to get it ready to move into the new generation with social media?
It was undoubtedly the brand, and with the brand, first and foremost, the logo. So you said something that's very interesting, which probably dates back to a few years. If I had to make this decision 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have done it because it would have been too challenging to do it. Today, we live in a world where obviously impressions and first impressions are everything. Yep. You don't necessarily know whether what you're seeing on social media is real or an avatar. And very often it is an avatar. And I think that translates very well into what we've been able to do in terms of taking a very old franchise that was founded in 1903, a rugby franchise, which today plays semi-professional rugby in Europe at a relatively high level. But when we took it over, usually what I like to say is we took over a 118-year-old startup with a lot of skeletons in the closet. We started with a 25-yard penalty when we took it over. And literally, as we opened up drawers, everything was falling onto us. And that was about 15 months ago. When we took it over, also, the team had roughly 1,000 followers on social media. Today, we have over 200,000 combined. We've signed broadcast agreements for our games, including in the U.S., and we've been able to build a burgeoning brand that has quadrupled its revenue during COVID with no games being played.
Wow.
So explain that to us. Explain what are some of the key aspects here of the first. So you take over a team, totally understand that, right? So you have probably lots of meetings with some old timers that say, hey, we've always done it this way. We've done it this way. You're coming in with a brand new vision, direction. How do you go about making that change? And what are some of the key technology items that you've used to, and congratulations on getting the U.S. to pick up your rugby games, and I'm excited about that. I like rugby. I actually have watched rugby pretty aggressively, more aggressively than I ever will watch soccer, because I find rugby to be very interesting. What's that?
You're right in Sounders territory.
I know, we're in the Sounders territory, but let me just tell you, rugby is very entertaining. Awesome. The way they throw the ball in, the way they have the scrum. But what is the first thing that you do when you take over a team like that? How do you say, hey, guys, we need to grow our social media audience. We need to be active in that. What did you do to get those things going?
Well, I think the first thing we did was to set a baseline and get everybody on the same page, because obviously it's difficult to come in cold into a place that's been, a franchise, a religious franchise, as I might say, for 118 years. So you're 100% right. A lot of older people in place that have been doing something for a long time, but just because you've been doing it for a long time doesn't mean you've been doing the right thing. So yes, we ruffled some feathers, but we moved in with an entire team, the entire Unicorn team, and basically took over the brand from scratch, recreated the logo, created digital assets that didn't exist, an English website, a French website, a German website, a Spanish website. We created mobile apps that never existed before. Brand new rebranding for all of the imagery, all of the assets that have been shown around town, brand new merchandising assets, online stores. Today we have 30 derivative products, a mascot that nobody had ever seen before, which was sorely missing. We live and operate in a small town in the southwest of France that in the winter has 10,000 people, but in the summer has close to 3 million tourists. And nobody ever capitalized on the tourism aspect at all, just assuming that the people who would be visiting wouldn't be interested in rugby when in fact they are. So in a nutshell, as it stands, from the onset, we didn't really create anything that didn't yet exist. We just amalgamated a lot of the tools that we all have access to, and we just put them to the disposal of the team.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about logo, right? So you rebranded the logo, and that was kind of a big aspect of that. So when you do a logo rebranding for anything that you do, what type of time and effort did you go to that? Because I know some people, when they do a logo, they'll buy, I can just go and get one for $19 at Logos R Us on the internet that's dirt cheap, and they put it together and no backing or information. What did you guys do to actually spend the time and make sure that your logo was a key part of your team?
Yeah, so first we wanted to make sure the logo really resonated with what the team stands for, that the long history would carry over into the look and feel, the colors, and the imagery of it all. And then we wanted to make sure that the logo would be aggressive, because we are playing rugby, and would be truly representative of what we're trying to build in the future, not so much what existed in the past. So along with the logo, we also had a slight name change. So for those of you who speak French, the first, the acronym for the team was CASPN. And when I asked 10 old timers what that meant, 5 could tell me what it meant. The others did not. So we knew we had a branding issue from the start. So I asked them, what game does this team play? And they mumbled rugby. So I said, okay, at least we get one thing straight. And the second question I asked them is, where does this team play? And they said, well, here. I said, where is here? Here in Sarlat. I said, well, so it's no longer called the Crédit Athlétique Sarlat de Périgord. It's called Sarlat Rugby. And today, boom, here's Sarlat Rugby, right? So interesting, because what we needed to do is we needed to shake things up, because what had been in place just didn't resonate even with the local people. So that being a fact, we needed to create brand new imagery, brand new logo, brand new thematics, and test them out at a small scale, and then see how they would resonate in other parts of the world. Because as a local rugby team catering to a town of 10,000 people, there's no way that you can bring about the budget that you need to operate at higher levels. We went in, with the international aspect first and foremost. We realized that there was a crisis in many parts of the world, including the US, obviously, between what you guys have, the kneelers and the non-kneelers, and whatever people think about those, where there's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in the sports business to bring a relatively new game, a contact sport, to a large swaths of population and get them interested and get them excited about it. So when I speak to Americans, for example, and football fans, and I explain them rugby, I said, think of American football without the pads, without protection, and in order to move forward, you got to throw the ball backwards. And they say, "Oh, I get it."
And they think they get it, and then there's a little bit more complexity to it. So there's a lot more. So when you when you run it back, you have to make sure you touch the ball down in the end zone, and you want to do it kind of or at the end line.
So is it fair to say that you took all this technology and just re-educated everybody about what you're doing with this team?
I think, yeah, in a sense, that is absolutely true. It's interesting you mentioned that, because when we first did it, we knew it would be a lot of work, and we set ourselves out, obviously as a technology firm, to say that at some point in the future, the need is there for other amateur teams. They have the exact same friction points, the exact same pain points. So instead of just building this for one team, we started platformizing it from the scratch from the very first day. And literally 6 months in, we had 30, 40, 50 other teams contacting us. How did you do this? Can you work with us? And recently, we've actually just signed with a soccer team, which is also relatively local, at a high level, a pro soccer team that we're doing the same thing for.
So now let's talk about the league too, right? Because when we talked about this, it seems to be the league looked to you as kind of the shining star and said, hey, let's develop some of our league aspects on this also, and take some of your marketing expertise and your technology expertise to make it so that the league itself would kind of improve on aspects. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's actually true for the rugby league and for the soccer league, obviously called football here in Europe, where you have a lot of legacy issues in terms of branding. Typically, either coaches or presidents, used to be former coaches and former players, they don't have a marketing mind, and they'll be the first to admit to that. And it's been very, very easy getting their attention and, getting them on board, with the concept that we launched internally, the platform called Challenger X, where they come to us and say, hey, we have a rebranding issue, we have a social media issue, our digital assets don't produce what they're supposed to be producing. In many cases, they're set up as NGOs at the amateur level, relying exclusively on donations. Yet when you go to their website trying to make a donation, the plugging is not working. So that's obviously not a good thing. Especially if it's your sole revenue source, aside from ticketing and some special events that you may be running.
So that's really important, making sure that if you're going to be a charitable or a nonprofit or rely on donations, having all of your aspects of people being able to donate and generate those funds as needed. So let me ask you one question before we leave. If you are to take over a website for someone and help them in their social media, what is the first thing, whether Unicorn or yourself, looks at on a website to say, you know what, we're going to need to make some changes because this is what you currently have?
I'd say the funnel. Whether you'd have to take a look at whether or not, first of all, what's the revenue model? What's the business model of that website? Is it purely driven by advertising, which is pretty rare today? In most cases, the intent is to convert a user into either an action or a transaction, i.e. a lead or an actual purchase, in which case you measure everything. Unlike 50 years ago, today we measure everything from A to Z, and you can measure it in a live environment, from the person landing on the page, doing some heat mapping and see where they drop out, what the stick rate is, and what the attrition rate is, and just fix it on the fly. And most people don't do that. The second thing I would say is that instead of building it in hopes that it will come, we know they're coming, and hence we're building it. And it's usually not the way people operate and people launch websites. We've all done the mistake where we just decide to launch some digital assets, put them up, and then try to figure out how we're going to get people to come to us. Well, we use keyword data. We know how many people are searching for a specific keyword in any language on any device, month in, month out. That data is freely accessible. And based upon that data, we decide what to build and then how to convert them.
All right, so if I want to find out more about your rugby team or Unicorn's all over all you got to do is spell unicorn with a Q, which is a perfect way to do it. So it's UNIQORN, and if you just put that in any Google search or MSN search, it's coming on up. But your rugby team isn't always the easiest to find, so how would people go and search for your rugby team so that they can watch games, maybe become a fan? Us in the Pacific Northwest are going to be watching your guys' games when we can. At least I will be. So how do we go about that?
Yeah, I had no impact on the name of the town, obviously, so it's a little more difficult, right? So It's Sarlat, SARLAT, sarlatrugby.com for the US version of the site. Very active on Facebook, same thing, Sarlat Rugby. Instagram, same thing. Reach out to us, follow us. We're in the process of launching a 24/7 rugby channel as well, which will be active within the next 3 weeks under sarlatrugby.tv. But once you're on our Facebook channel or Instagram, you'll be kept abreast.
Perfect. That's great. Well, we got fans here at TechTime Radio. Thank you very much for joining the show today, and we wish you guys the best, and we will touch back with you again later during the season. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well, there you go. Rugby team with technology, specifically the keyword searches and his SEO were his main aspects on what they did first before they decided to build the site itself. Really important.
Yeah.
That is how you make a determination on your site's name, your site's information, or you can just create TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm and make sure there's nobody else out there. That's actually a big thing to think about. When you're going to name something, like our radio show, TechTime Radio, I looked out and there was only 2 other people that had like a TechTime show that were out there, pretty dormant. And so the social media aspects and the SEO was all available, where if we launched our name on our site, we would know that if we advertise and do what we need to on the back end, that it would actually produce so that the page comes on up as a top page. And currently right now on Google, not that we want to toot our own horn, but
go ahead, toot.
There you go. So if you go MSN or Google and you look for TechTime Radio, if you look for Tech Radio with Nathan, TechTime, if you look for Mike Gourdet, any of those things, guess what happens? You find TechTime Radio. And of course, you can always find all of the information and our guest interviews and all of our podcasts and information at techtimeradio.com. We're going to head out to a commercial break.
All right.
Did you know that up to 12 to 15% of Americans grind their teeth at night while they sleep? Yeah, it's called bruxism. I used to work at a sleep lab, and we used to measure that, and it leads to a lot of problems like headaches and destroys your teeth. It wears down the enamel, and it's just very hard on your mouth.
So every once in a while I'll wake up, my jaw will hurt. Do you think that I'm grinding my teeth at night?
Yep.
Well, so how do you go about protecting this then?
The number one recommended way of protecting yourself from teeth grinding is what's called a night guard, which is a custom fitted prosthetic that you put inside your mouth. It usually runs, hundreds of dollars, but I know our sponsor, Smile Brilliant, can get you custom fitted night guards for as little as $45 a piece.
So if you go to smilebrilliant.com and use TechTime Radio at checkout, you can receive 20% off your complete order. So visit smilebrilliant.com and use the TechTime Radio at checkout code.
Well, Glenn liked it.
Was that? Really?
Glenn liked it.
That's fantastic. All right, welcome back to TechTime Radio. How is the whiskey tasting, Mike?
It's doing okay. It's had a different
Taste?
reaction the third sip.
Yeah, we poured a little bit during the break, and it was a little bit more fresh, and we didn't let it air out a little bit, and it was a little bit more bitter. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to move on to our next segment. Our next segment is going to be talking about what happens when your internet has issues, from extreme winter,
get it a therapist,
to extreme winter issues to extreme warm issues. We're going to be taking a look at it. Specifically, James Riddle, last week when he was talking about Arizona, remember his internet was having problems going up and down, and they said it was too hot.
Well, yeah.
So is that really true or not? We're going to talk about that in our next segment.
What we found on the web.
All right, what we found on the web is unique created stories that our staff searches for high and low, or something that we just stumble upon on the web. But this is in perfect timing with our current
because of
weather,
our heat wave,
our weather situation. Let's talk
about that. Are you
having
internet problems?
Which, by the way, right now, according to my phone outside this window, it's 100 degrees.
It's 100 degrees.
Oh my
outside.
gosh!
It is massively
Seattle
warm. We're just
everybody's.
We're gonna
it's
die.
Armageddon.
That's right. We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
When it snows, we don't know what to do. When it rains, we don't know what to do.
We don't know what to do whenever.
It needs to be 72 degrees and just stay there.
We still wouldn't know what to do.
All right. So does weather affect your internet service? The answer is simple. Yes. Now, to be clear, this is not because of the technology has a flaw. This is because people have issues in their house that they normally don't take care of, and the heat brings them out.
Okay.
So let's talk about this.
Please.
Heat causes issues with old wiring. We're going to be talking about that. It also causes issues with devices overheating, and even the factor of humidity in the air causes delays in radio bounces. So even as our radio station right here, our 1150 KKNW is bouncing out there, right now there's a lot more humidity in the air in the Pacific Northwest, and so it actually degrades the radio frequencies.
Degradates?
It degrades.
Degradates?
Degrades. What is it?
Degrades?
Degrades?
How about that?
That was a Nathan word. Do you like that
was
one?
a Nathanism. Yeah.
It's okay. All right, here we go.
I'm going to use that.
So,
degradates.
Heat causes aerial cables to soften, expand and sag, and get longer. So if you look at cables out on any of the lines, right now in the heat wave that's going on, they are sagging.
Right. This is basic physics right
This
here.
is, which increases latency slightly and can increase packet loss, because what happens is the condensed packet across the copper cable in most of these individuals, what happens when copper gets hot? You know what it does? It actually melts. Copper is
it's a very soft metal.
It's a very soft metal. So
it's very conductive, though.
It is very conductive, but if you get it really hot, it can actually melt itself. So it's true that both aerial fiber and aerial copper are an issue, specifically in warm and extreme cold.
Yeah, I was having trouble with my phone the other day. I was driving around and using my phone, and it kept
coming off and
on. I wouldn't interact with the onboard computer correctly.
So now, if your cable's underground in major metropolitan areas, which are normally thermal insulated, this is not an issue. So I'll be very clear. If you've got a direct fiber line, you got it underneath the ground and it comes into your house on that, you're probably not going to have the same issues as maybe those persons in a suburbia area that gets their internet from Comcast.
Do you know what we have here primarily in the sound?
So we have So we have both factors, right? So downtown Seattle, downtown major metropolitan areas, Bellevue, where we're currently at right now, all underground, right? All insulated fibers, dark fibers, all insulated. You're not going to have an issue.
So we're not having any internet issues, right?
But if you go to Carnation, if you go out into Snohomish, you go out into the areas, guess what? All your internet's normally coming, sometimes it's coming from your old phone lines that you have in your house, and sometimes it's coming from your old coaxial cables that you have coming from the street into your house itself. So heat causes active devices to fail. It's not always that the cooling fans are sufficient. So if you go into your closet right now here in the Pacific Northwest, and your closet's normally 70 or 80 degrees, and it's 100 degrees, if you don't have fans on your gear, it is going to have issues if you don't have them properly isolated.
Why
Tons
are
of
we
people
going into closets?
Well, not in. Okay. So in any place that you have your internet coming, there should be sufficient air to get to those devices. A lot of places I go into, a lot of homes, have it in the corner of a cabinet. They come in on the wall in some area. Everything's pushed together. They'll have papers over their internet stuff.
Yeah, they don't want to see it.
So they don't want to see the blinking lights. They don't want to do it. So they protect it by making it.
Sits right in front of the TV.
Oh, so that's perfect for that. So you got plenty of air
on the edge.
So you can always see how the internet's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right, so let's talk about this. Cold weather affects the same as hot weather. Cold and hot weather have indirect issues with cable modem speeds due to the change in the RF power levels. That's why it's crucial to have optimal levels hitting your cable modems. During cold weather, the cables contract, and during hot weather, they expand, so they can easily see the expansion having packet loss. Cable guys like to do the cold months to install stuff because the hot time, the expansion of it makes it tougher to do quality control checking.
Mm-hmm.
To counteract this issue, most companies use amplifiers called AGCs, automatic gain control, that is able to adjust the levels at a range of 3 dB per segment. So what this is think of your old amplifier for your stereo, right? So you'd have your stereo in your car. You wanted to get louder. What'd you do? You go down the street, you bought an old amplifier, right? And then you put it in there, and you still couldn't hear the lyrics, but you got the boom, 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 boom.
You bought all kinds of things, and you were thumping down the road, right?
And you could never hear the lyrics, but boy, you thought you were cool because it was much louder, right? So this is the same thing. The line extenders amplify the feed so that the cable can get more gain or less gain depending upon the area. Now, line indicators on Cable Lab standard normally says that most cables should be at either a negative 15 to positive 15, and essentially the degradation of the cable itself. So that's a range, all right? Most ideally situations should be close to zero gain of your cable, and your cable should be neutral of any amplifiers. The more amplifiers you put on it, the more problems that you can have, and the less amount of amplification that you have to make it in a negative or a positive effect causes issues. A zero is important to maintain on that.
Okay.
All right. For an example, if your modem is a negative 15 in the winter months, I'm trying to keep this as non-nerdy as possible.
It's not working.
Okay. The MER, the modulation error ratio, is the average of the simple power divided by the average air power of stream transmissions. So what this means is... David's going to get on the mic.
This means if you didn't take calculus in high school or college, you don't know anything.
Okay, so very simply, what happens is when it gets hot...
The bottom line here is that when it gets hot, you might be having cable problems.
Because it's going to expand and copper can have it, and that's not. Now, it's also important to have your cables correctly in your house itself, specifically during hot weather times. Because if you have old school cables for your old school cable TVs back in the 70s and 80s, that cable is called an RG59U. It's a very small cable that's coaxial. It bends really easy. It's the ones you would have back on the RF channels. Nowadays, if you're using data to go across your lines, you really need an Rj6 cable. It's a brand new standard. It's a thicker standard, and what it comes with is the ability to have 4 different filters to protect it from interference instead of 2.
So just when you thought it was bad enough that we're having 100-degree weather, your internet probably sucks.
Yeah, you are, and you probably have old cables, and these old cables are not giving you the same frequency rate as the newer cables. So here's the solution. Make sure you have an Rj6 cable installation in your house for everything that you do. Look at the cable. It will tell you on the cable itself it's Rj6. If it doesn't say Rj6, then it's an RJ old school 59. So then you're going to need to get rid of it. And make sure that you have the proper EMI shielding. Make sure your devices are not in a hot closet and make sure that if there's humidity or water corrosion that can happen, you clean it up. Did you get that?
Or you just deal with it.
You just deal with it?
You just deal with it.
Well, I wanted to talk about it so everybody could know what your internet was that. That was this. I was trying not to go geeky, but it didn't work.
It didn't work.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break.
I'm baffled by all the RGAJSs.
Okay, well, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we got Mike's mesmerizing moment, and we got our pick of the day.
I'm going to talk about initials.
Okay.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Guess what? Our favorite sponsor's back.
Oh, it's the puzzle dude from Unidragon.
That's right, Unidragon. Yep, Unidragon.com. They have a brand new item. It's called the Playful Parrots. It's a 5-in-1 puzzle that comes on out that actually comes all the way up to the brand new size, which is the royal size. Now they're small, medium, king size, and royal size. So you can get 7 times bigger than the standard puzzle. What do you think about the Playful Parrots? Being a pirate adventurer that you are, Mike, what say you?
Oh, the owl's jealous.
The owl's jealous? Uh-oh. What's the owl saying about the parrots?
Oh, there's 5 of them and 1 of him.
That's right. That's what happens. You know what? When you're the original, sometimes you get replaced and upgraded. So if you want to get upgraded in your puzzles, now's the time to go to Unidragon.com. Again, that's Unidragon.com. Or you can always visit Amazon.com and just type in Unidragon. Don't be fooled by other imitation puzzle makers. Only get your true puzzle from Unidragon.com. They're the best, and they're the world's leader in wooden puzzles. Now make sure when you go, you decide to use your checkout code TechTime for a 10% discount. The discount expires on August 1st of 2021. You can go to Amazon, you can go to Unidragon.com, or you can go to TechTimeRadio.com/sponsors. Click on the order now at Amazon, and boom, you'll get it within 2 to 6 days. Your puzzle will be there. And guess what? They're no longer 3 sizes, Mike. Guess how many there are now?
They're 4 sizes.
That's right. They're 4 sizes. Make sure you visit Unidragon.com. And remember, our #1 sponsor says thank you, and the owl is jealous. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, do you know you can reduce stress from a simple breath?
Why, yes, I do. As you know, I teach Tai Chi, and breath work is one of the important things that we study.
That's why Camuso created the shift, a minimalist necklace that helps you relax. Have you seen this?
Why, yes, I have. It's a nicely crafted necklace that is designed after a tool that the Camuso monks of the 17th century Japan used as part of their meditation practice. It essentially allows you to extend your exhale, which triggers the parasympathetic response in the body, which is actually the relaxation response. So it helps you relax.
The shift is a beautiful necklace that helps you breathe better. Let's create a calmer world by learning to breathe better. Use our TechTime Radio code for 15% off at checkout. Our code is TechTime. To find out more, you can go to TechTimeRadio.com and look at our sponsors. Visit them online at www.camusodesign.com. That's www.camusodesign.com. This is Mike's Mesmerizing Moment, presented by Story Coffee. Visit storycoffee.com.
Earlier, he mentioned how he had to ruffle some feathers, and that's sort of an interesting thing with humans. Humans are creatures of habit. I don't know if you realize that, but we like things to stay the same because we're comfortable with it.
Yep.
And we get very upset when something comes along and changes that, even if the change is likely to give us a better response.
Yep.
And it's a very interesting thing that we are like that because, like you said, those folks have been hanging out for 118 years doing the same things over and over and over again, and they're okay with the results because that's part of the process.
Yep.
And he comes in, buys the team, and does all this new stuff, and it's flipping people out because they don't understand. We just don't understand change, and we get really it makes us afraid.
It does.
And so that's one of the reasons why when we are experiencing change like COVID and everything else, that we have a survival response that creates this angst in us.
Makes sense. That makes sense. He said that it was really difficult. He had to have a bunch of meetings with the people.
Yeah.
When we talked about that line, because just changing the name was like, how can you change it from a 16-syllable French name to something like name of the city itself?
And it seems simple, when you look at it on paper, but when we start talking about humans, it becomes a lot more complex.
It does. All right, we got our Ezra Brooks 99 proof bourbon whiskey. This is our pick of the day time. You going to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? What do you go, Mike? I'm going to give it a thumbs up also. Hopefully we get some second hour a little bit more cooler stones so we can get that taken care of.
It helped me understand the whole thing about the internet.
All right. So hang on. I tried to keep that. Now, on our second hour, we have our letter segment coming right back up. We got the reading of this week's email scams and funny attempts. We have a featured interview with Sharon Cooksey, the Kitty spokesperson. Sharon's an expert in fire prevention and carbon monoxide. And we have our Protect Yourself Today with a hacker breaches ATMs using a handy cell phone. I'm Nathan Mum. We got Mike O'Day here, David Brown behind the board. Thank you. We'll see you next hour.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guest,
I don't think so. Who is that?
Oh, Emma is an author and musician of over 20 years dedicated to emotional understanding for kids and adults.
Oh, yeah. She does musical children picture books and some guided journals and stuff, right?
That's correct. We got The Gentle Dragons, Healing and Dealing with Emotions and Feelings. And she's also done Tween the Cat, a story of gratitude and compassionate attitude. Both are themed around assisting children develop healthy and emotional habits.
Yep.
And positive attitude towards life.
Yeah, she spent countless hours researching the beneficial psychological and physiological effects of listening to instrumental music, decreasing the anxiety level of children to increasing their creative performance.
That's correct. But not only that, she has guided planners and journals that we talked about.
Yeah.
These are perfect for a busy parent, creative, and even someone who feels like they're stuck in the mud. You start a Balanced Mind, a guided planner for the overly ambitious, undermotivated, and everybody in between. It's a 52-week planner that walks you through the healthier approaches towards organizing and prioritizing your goals.
She's also the author of My Terribly Great Ideas, an inspirational journal of 5 ideas a day inspired by Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret. This journal will help you organize and stick to creativity by creating 5 ideas a day for 90 days, when you'll end up coming up with 450 ideas, one of those which will strike gold.
You can find out more about this and subscribe to the author's email list to stay up to date on all of our new projects, again by visiting her at www.emmapaulneal.com. That's www.emmapaulneal.com. EMMAPAUNIL.com. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
So I just found out that 4.4 million people started business last year in the U.S. alone.
Yeah, I know. I was one of them. And I bet a whole bunch of those were e-commerce businesses.
That's right. A lot of them are growing so quickly now that they can't keep up with orders. This happened to someone I know. They started a business on Etsy, then they moved to Amazon, and they're crushing it, and they make stickers. Pretty soon, they had too much inventory in their house. They were packing everything themselves, printing postage, going to the post office all the time, and they actually ended up spending more time with the labor work than they did producing stickers.
Yeah, it's a big waste of time if you're running your own business.
Absolutely. But I do have good news. You don't have to ship your own orders if you run an online store. Fulfill Right can take care of your order fulfillment for you, saving you time, money, and stress. That means more time doing what you love.
Really? Delegating grunt work like shipping to someone you can trust is the secret to business success. Fulfill Right is the most trusted name in order fulfillment. The reviews back the statement up too. Fulfill Right has 5 stars on Shopify, Google reviews, and Trustpilot from over 100 businesses just like your buddies.
Yep. Wow. I'm going to go to fulfillright.com right now, and I'm going to ask for a quote, but I'm going to use the special TechTime link, which is fulfillright.com/TechTime. That's fulfillright.com/TechTime. They're offering $100 off new signups for TechTime listeners. You get a lot when you sign up from these guys. Services include same-day shipping, real-time order and inventory tracking, dedicated customer service, and volume-based discount.
You know, that sounds like a great way to get your time back if your business is really taking off. To learn more about how Fulfill Right can grow your business, go to fulfillright.com/TechTime for $100 off when you sign up.
I'm signing up today.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics along with special guests to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mum.
Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mum, the show that makes you go,
Yeah, here we are.
Technology news of the week. The show for the everyday common person with insightful segment on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. I'm Nathan Mum, and welcome to our show. We are live streaming on Twitch, YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, and of course you can always go to techtimeradio.com and watch our live stream, or you can also catch us on the airwaves driving around Seattle in 110 degree weather on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. Boy, is it hot today.
It's not hot. It's not 110 yet.
Well,
It's supposed to be 110
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's gonna be very hot. So welcome to our show. We are a
you poor
2-hour technology show, and we are on the second hour. So if you missed the first hour and you're only catching this online, then you can go on back and look at our live feeds. You can go to KKNW and look at the feed, and you can watch us in all of our glory. Hour one.
Yeah.
That was,
And just to make things simple for everybody in hour one, the hot makes the internet bad.
that's right. So if it's really warm, your internet could be degraded.
So if
And
you're
that's the
having-
bottom line.
If you're having internet problems, it's not your cable company, it's the heat.
That's right. And if you want to market a rugby
If
team,
you want to buy and market a rugby team, you're going to have to deal with people that don't want to change.
and you're going to have to spend a lot of time on logos and SEO and re-look at how you want to do everything so that
That's
you
right.
don't stay dormant. That's what you got from the first hour. And the second hour, we are packed with our letter segment, the reading of this week's emails, scams, and funny phishing attempts. Our featured interview this week is Sharon Cooksey, the Kitty spokesperson. Sharon is an expert in fire prevention and carbon monoxide safety and is here on our show to talk about a technology wonder of using a network to connect these devices without using your actual network. You know,
Yeah.
we've had a lot of IoT devices on, right?
Right.
And so you got to connect to the internet and you got to do this. You got to get an app on your phone. You got to do this. This is a technology that will connect these as a network together without having to connect to your network. And it can all be done.
So it has its own Internet of Things.
Well, yes. So it has its own way to transfer information on a wireless
OIoT.
network. So it's a what?
OIoT.
OIoT? What's OIoT stand for? You just created it.
I just created it.
So it's your own? Is
your
it own?
your own Internet of Things.
Oh, you should market that right now. You should
I,
go out and
yeah,
get that.
I just it's copyrighted. That's mine.
That's right now.
that-
Mike
I'm
Orday came
just
up with that.
trademarked it.
There
Nobody
you
can
go.
use that.
All right, here we go. Then we also have your favorite segment, which is Protect Yourself Today. We're going to be talking
my
about the
favorite
hacker
segment.
breaches into an ATM machine using a cell phone.
That's great.
And it's
That's
amazing.
just one more thing to be awesome.
It's awesome about. And so we're going to talk about Jackpot Mode. Guess what Jackpot Mode is when you crash into an ATM? It is spitting out money. Have you ever seen a TV show or anything like
I've
that
seen
where they're
it, yeah.
spitting out money? We got a guy that can actually do that himself. We're going to be talking about that and a couple other things in our Protect Yourself Today segment.
All
so
right.
it should be a great show.
Yeah.
Now, in our hour two, we always like to give a shout out to one of our people here on KKNW. That's the Love Shack. So they are on Thursday
right.
from, I think, 1 to 2 o'clock, if I believe correctly.
Yes.
And so they have been so nice to give us the Love Shack questions that they use in their conversational
I'll be on
cards.
their show on the 8th.
On the 8th, Mr. Gorday is going to be back. This will be your second time on their show.
Yeah.
So you're going to be talking about love. And are they going to ask you about your personal dating life? Is that what they're going to be talking about?
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so?
I think we're going to talk about lying.
Oh, about lying. Okay.
Yeah. I know
okay.
everybody's really excited about that.
That sounds pretty interesting. You're not going to be talking about your ex-wife, though?
Never.
Never. Okay, here we go. Here is the question we're going to do. David's hot on this, too, so we can make sure that all of us can respond. If you could live anyone's life for a week, who would it be and why?
Are you looking at me first?
You always go first.
Oh.
And it's David. It goes around the circle here. It hasn't changed.
If I can live anyone's life for a week,
who would it be and why?
you know, I would like to say someone like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or something so I could experience that. But you know what I would really, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson would be fun.
Neil deGrasse. Who,
You
I
know
don't
who
even,
that is?
No, I do not.
He's this foremost astrophysicist that he did the remake of oh crap, I can't remember the old Carl Sagan show.
Twilight Zone?
No, that's not
That's not Carl Sagan?
Carl Sagan was a.
So you want to be a guy that I've never heard of?
You've never heard of Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No, not a chance.
He's a famous scientist. He's an astrophysicist.
You couldn't have chosen Albert Einstein? You had to choose somebody
Albert
that-
Einstein is cool, but he's dead.
Well, that's it. It could be anybody's. I didn't think you had to be like live now.
Well, I'm thinking more modern times.
Okay.
You know, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson would be fun to because he's a very smart individual and.
Oh, okay. That's great, fantastic. All right, hopefully David can bring something.
Even though I'm convincing you that I'm not that smart today because I can't remember the name of certain
No, that's okay.
TV shows.
You can
Carl
Google,
Sagan
You
things.
can Google it here in a second as we go to David. All right, so here we go. David, if you could live anyone else's life for a week, who would it be and why?
Well, actually, I have heard of him mainly
Okay.
because
Thank you, David.
Mainly because I watch Match Games sometimes, and he was one of the celebrity panelists. That's probably how I heard of him.
If you watched The Big Bang Theory, he was on that too.
Oh, yeah, I did watch that.
Nobody watches that but me.
Well, I've seen some episodes.
I think I have one Nathan might know who it is. It's just the guy that puts on the number 3 jersey. That would be Russell Wilson himself.
Oh, Russell Wilson.
Probably because then I would like to know how his other 6 days
Who
go.
is that?
Come on, you know who Russell Wilson is.
I don't know who that is.
He's the starting quarterback for your local Seattle Seahawks.
The Seattle who?
I was almost going to say Supersonics, but that would be,
Oh, boy, that would have been bad.
Yeah, the Seahawks. Okay, Russell Wilson.
Just to see, what a week would be like, Monday through Saturday, because we don't see that ever on TV on Sunday. And you're like going, what are you doing?
So is it pre-Sierra or post-Sierra time frame here?
Probably post.
Okay.
Although I've seen, when he first came to Seattle, we saw pictures of his ex-wife.
Yep.
So I still go with post anyway.
Post of that. All right. If I could live anyone else's life for a week, who would it be and why? I would probably.
Do I know this person?
Oh, I hope you know this person. I would probably like to be Mark Hamill.
Oh, that's a good one.
So see, Mark Hamill, I mean, he does so many voiceovers for characters.
That would be fun.
And he's Mr. Luke Skywalker, and
he's the Joker.
He's the Joker for the animated series. I think he would have an interesting life, talking about what it was like to be cast for Star Wars, what it's like now for the fandom, where he tweets something, and it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yeah. I think it would be interested to be in his life, just for a week.
That would be fun.
And I'd want to do a week, not in like 1 week at a time, but a week of like a Monday of when he was young, maybe a Tuesday mid-age, maybe Wednesday.
Why are you changing the rules?
Well, I'm just saying, I think out of the box a little bit more creatively than other people. So that's
yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. The name of that show is Cosmos, by the way.
Cosmos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that at all?
No.
PBS?
No. Cosmos. Well, I used to watch PBS, Sesame Street. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Cosmos.
Okay, all right.
You don't remember Carl Sagan's Cosmos?
I do not.
Oh my gosh. Billions and billions and billions of stars.
Oh, I do actually remember that now.
There we go.
Now I remember that. I do remember that. But my dad would turn the television station to Channel 11 and watch MASH.
Oh,
instead.
I know. My dad was always watching sports and things, so anytime I was watching anything cool like that, it would be clicked off. And
7 o'clock was like MASH. Or 7 o'clock was Wheel of Fortune, and then Jeopardy, and then there's MASH, and then there was a rerun of Star Trek. So back in the olden days, I mean, you had a black and white TV, and you just pretty much watched what your dad watched.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, we grew up in the era of watching what Dad watched and changing the channels.
That's right. When he needed a remote,
we were the remote control.
That's right. He'd kick you in the back and say, "Go change
and
channel 7.
The rabbit ears.
Yeah, go
adjust the rabbit
UHF
ears.
channel. You can tune into that for a better.
Yeah,
type
that's
of
why
deal.
we didn't have RF cables.
That's why you guys had the old version instead of the new 6 version that's available.
That's right. Whatever the heck those are.
Okay, that's all right. All right. Well, we're going to move right on to our first segment. We like to call this segment.
We don't need to call.
Well, we like to call this segment the segment where we talk about scams, phishing emails, and all-out mistruths disguised as legitimate email sent to my inbox.
Letters, we get letters. We get back those letters. We get letters, and the letters all have songs.
All right, here we go. Dateline Thursday, June 24th, 2021 at 10:46 a.m. JPMC Connect decided to send me an email at accounts at TANLAUG4795655.com.
Wow.
So I'm sure that this is a legitimate
that
email.
Is legit.
So yeah, I'm sure that this wasn't picked up anyplace else. But they're telling me my online banking alert, transaction monitoring suspicious activity.
Mm-hmm.
This is a security alert sent to my email address. Your Wells Fargo credit card. I don't even have a Wells Fargo account. So first of all, you got the wrong information. So I have nothing to do with Wells Fargo. But my Wells Fargo account had some recent changes in information from an unknown device. For security reasons, we've temporarily locked you out to protect your account.
Thank you for that.
If this was you, please click the Resolve Now button so you can gain immediately access to your account without any delays. If this was not you, please click on this link so we can ensure that we lock your account and keep it safe.
Okay.
So
wow,
to see
they're,
all
they're
alerts,
just really kind to criminal activity.
so
aren't
what
they?
they're doing is they're essentially, guess what? It is either not an account and I didn't have activity, or if I did have activity, both have links. Both send me to a page that is a different URL address. At least it's not like the same address.
Mhm.
But both of them ask me to type in my username and account so that I can give them the information so they can unlock my account and therefore now have access to probably my account number and my password to open it up and steal as much of the cash and information they can as possible.
Right. So this is essentially taking advantage of your fears.
Yep.
In order to get you to do something. And that's one of the human behavior things that is easier to do with human beings, is that we respond more quickly to pain sensations than pleasure sensations. So you get these things that say, oh, hey, your account's locked, and we start freaking out. And we're like, oh, man, I need to. And we go to the simplest answer, the simplest solution, which is what they try to provide with these links.
All right, the next one. This is kind of my favorite of the day. So this will be my favorite that we talk about. We got some other good ones too. So this is called from unsubscribe.
Oh yeah.
Okay. To my Hotmail account from fastpow56.com. So anybody that has these numbers at the end.
FastPal6.
So fastpal56.com. So to stop receiving these emails, just hit reply and let us know. Thanks.
That's it?
Unsubscribe is
That's
the
it?
title. Unsubscribe. We need the confirmation, please. To stop receiving these emails from us, just hit reply and let us know. Thanks.
That is the best one ever.
So if you think about this, what they're doing is you're like, well, of course I don't want to have this, right?
Right.
This is junk. Why would I want to have this? So if I click and reply to them, then essentially they're going to take me off their list, which is the last thing they're going to do.
Which they're really just trying to find out if you have an active email account.
And if you're going to respond as an unsubscribe notification, because if you fall for this, then you're probably going to fall for other things also.
That's right.
So you would actually have to click on this email. That doesn't even have a link. It just has a reply. So I'm going to have to actually send it to this FastPal email address. Hopefully it's still open by the time I send it, because then I'd be really confused. I'd probably reply to it, and then I didn't reply to it. But if I reply to it and it comes back and says that email doesn't exist, then what am I going to do? That unsubscribe is not going to work.
Oh, no.
So then I'd be confused. But yes, they're just trying to take advantage and seeing if that email is active and being used.
I like that one. That's just short, sweet, and to the point. Hey, we know you don't want these. Click on this or reply.
You
and
just
we'll
like
leave
that,
you alone.
right?
Like,
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we're going to go to the last one here because we got lots of stuff to talk about. So this is from my email, my EE.DOS services account. But does that look like it's from my EE services? So the title is from EE services. And what email account
Mailer
is that?
reply info sup team at becubro.net. How about that?
So, yes. So if I'm just looking at this, I'm like, oh, my word. It's from my business. I sent myself a business fax.
Yeah, that's really
Too bad I have virtual PBX, and they will actually send all my faxes in a virtual PBX mailbox, which I know about. But no, I'm going to click on this because the attachment comes to 32980.eeservices.com. Please download this attachment to read the information. Now, they're sending this to me. They say it's a fax, and underneath the bottom of this, they have copyright Microsoft and OneDrive services. So if you're going to say it's a fax, and it's going to be a downloadable attachment, and then you put Microsoft and OneDrive and confidential. That doesn't. I mean, you're trying to grab everything you can, thinking that maybe any of those services look legit, and say,
those are all words of comfort.
Microsoft, OneDrive, recipient,
those are all words of comfort. So they're giving you some well-established names here to give them a form of legitimacy and security. So you're more likely to click that.
And they're going to save the file as a PDF file with an attachment that when I open up, it will then corrupt my machine. So Microsoft didn't send it as a Word attachment or anything. They built it. They sent it as a PDF because that makes me look safe, and I feel good that it came from myself, and I knew that it was important.
Well, I know. I mean, sending stuff to yourself is really, really quite safe, isn't it?
So that was our last one that we have there, too. So the segment here is very important to tell you, don't click on emails that don't make sense. Don't click on emails with long return email addresses. And the best thing to do with any legitimate or illegitimate email that you have, print it out and take a look at the email address. Because when you print it out, the email address is shown and you know what's there.
Well, the first thing to do is to not gloss over everything, because we have a tendency to scan things. So when you see these things, stop and look at it. Don't just react to it, because we're on autopilot most of the time and we just go, oh crap, I need to take care of this right now.
Yeah, and then if you would have clicked on that link, you would have actually had a virus that would have come into your machine, locked down your files and information, and caused you grief. Yeah. Unless you have your security settings on Windows 10 set so that you don't get any attachments and have that taken care of, as we talked about on TechTime Radio on how to secure your computer.
Did we talk about, I know we talked about some stuff. Did we talk about locking or no attachments?
Well, not specifically attachments, but this will actually try to go in and alter what we have on those securities that we have in the security processes we've talked about before.
Perfect.
All right, so we are going to take a commercial break, and when we get back, we are really excited to have a guest that will be joining us, specifically talking about
OIoT devices.
Yeah, OIoT. Mr. Gourdet just named them. Your own. So this would be YOOIT. So your own.
Oh, Yoit.
So YOIT devices. Her name is Sharon Cooksey. She's an expert in fire prevention and carbon monoxide safety. She holds a BA in communications from Salem College and 2 graduate degrees. We're excited to have her back. We'll see her right after this commercial break.
Upper Left Corner is a PNW true crime podcast now streaming on all major podcast platforms. If you get excited when your favorite true crime podcast tells a story about a place that you've been to or the town that you live in, then Upper Left Corner podcast is for you. Each week, I tell you a story of a crime that has taken place in the PNW and give you background about the town the crime occurred in. If you like true crime, check out Upper Left Corner podcast, now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and more.
Ace Hardware is a helpful place with prompt, friendly service, knowledge, and the little things that make a big difference.
Service.
Selection.
Advice.
Community involvement.
Competitive prices.
Convenience.
Located near you.
And the things you need, such as
house keys,
lawn and garden,
plumbing,
electrical,
hardware,
grills,
outdoor living supplies,
and even nuts and bolts.
When you visit Ace Hardware, you'll be greeted at the door and given the help you need.
So come visit us at Ace Hardware in Evergreen Way in Everett, Lake Stevens, and now Stanley.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
This is your favorite music. You always say that. You going to say it again?
Nope, you already said it.
Okay, there you go. All right, welcome back to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mum. If you want to join the show, you can jump on the phone now at 425-373-5527. We're really excited to be having Sharon Cooksey, an expert in fire prevention, coming on up next. She's going to be talking about specifically a hardware device here that we're going to ask her lots of questions about. She's going to explain it, and then I'm going to kind of set it up. We're going to go to a commercial break like we do, and then we're going to come on back, and you and Sharon, after that commercial break, are going to set up these devices and see if you can make it work.
Because I'm the non-techie guy?
Well, yeah, so it should be as simple to use for anybody to set up. So if you can set it up, then she's in great shape. If not,
I look really bad.
Yeah, and then I'll help you because I've already set them up before. So hopefully Sharon is going to get ready to come on as a part of our show as we start our next segment.
This is a segment we call Ask the Experts.
All right, Sharon, welcome to the show. Hopefully you are having a great day. Sharon, where are you joining us from?
Hi, I'm in North Carolina, where it is also super hot and very humid.
Very humid. Yes, I tell you, us in the Pacific Northwest, we are the wimpiest people I've ever known. So if it's too cold, we're complaining. We shut down everything when it snows.
Everybody complains about everything.
It is. We are just a bunch of whiners is what I figured out. So
you're not
whining now. Yeah.
It's like it gets warm and everybody's like, oh great, it's warm, and then 2 hours later it's like, oh man, it's too hot.
That's too hot. Yeah, we're just horrible. But you know what? I enjoy the sun. So it makes me feel good to see the sun. Much better than that drizzly gray that we have from January till March. So
I'm sorry
about that.
All right. Well, so good to have you on the show. I know we've been trying to get this connected for an interview. We're so excited to have you on. I saw a presentation that you did previously, and I think this device is very cool. So I'd love you to go in and kind of talk about the fire prevention, carbon monoxide information here, and then I'll ask you some questions. We're going to go to a break, and we're going to see if Mike can set these up. Now, I set these up, and I reset them back to the factory. And so there's a quick user guide that comes with this, and it was so easy to do. Now, we are going to start marketing our new trade slogans. So it's YOIOT.
No.
So that's going to be our new trademark. If you want to use that, you can use that too.
Yeah. So I love it. The OIOT and the Y. I heard it. I love it. I'm thinking maybe KIOT. What do you think?
Oh, there you go. I like that. She's marketing for a company. She's going to take that one. I like that because you guys do have some technology basics, but are very nice to have. And so why don't you kind of explain the product here a little bit, and we'll ask you some questions.
Awesome sauce. Okay, so the product that you have there is an interconnected alarm system. And for those people who are like, what the heck did you just say? An interconnected alarm system basically means that your alarms talk to each other. So when the alarms are grouped together, when one alarm goes off, the entire group will go off at the same time. And why is this important? Because in today's environment, you have on average around 2 to 3 minutes to escape once the fire starts, right? It's not from the time you hear your smoke alarm go off. It's from the time the fire starts. Like when I was growing up, when I was watching Star Wars 4, 5, so the good ones.
4, 5, and 6, yeah, the good ones.
Boom. Yoda. Anyway, okay. So, sorry, I'm a nerd. Sorry.
Well, that's good. We like that. No, that was good. We were talking about Princess Leia and Mark Hamill and a bunch of stuff before the show started. So that was very interesting. So
I love Star Wars. Okay. Anyway, back to it. Sorry. So when I was growing up 30 or so years ago, you had like 17 to 30 minutes to escape once the fire started. But because your home right now is most likely filled with a whole bunch of synthetic materials that when they burn quickly and they burn hotter. And guess what? Those synthetic materials are off-putting toxic smoke. So firefighters will tell you all the time that fire will burn you, but the smoke will actually kill you. So we want you to get out of that environment as quickly as possible. And that's the advantage of an interconnected system. So if you think about a house, your average house, right, where on the first floor is like your kitchen and your living spaces, and your bedrooms are on the second floor with a traditional smoke alarm, ones that aren't connected, they're standalone. A fire, you may be in your bedroom asleep. A fire may break out in the kitchen, and the smoke alarm downstairs will hopefully go off, but you may not hear it depending on the distance and what a sleeper you are, et cetera, et cetera. So it would take a couple of seconds, maybe up to a minute, for that smoke to make its way up to the second story smoke alarm. And by that time, about half of your escape time's gone, right? So you may or may not have time to escape. So in an instance where you have these interconnected alarms, when that kitchen alarm recognizes a hazard and alerts, the one nearest the bedroom on the second floor goes off at the same time. So it saves you money or time rather. And every expert in the world is recommending interconnected alarm systems for that very reason. But
I already see a problem there.
What's that?
What? Talk to us.
When I cook, I set off the fire alarm.
Yeah.
Well, we can't help your cooking, all right? I mean, so if you burn everything, then you're gonna have your alarm going off.
You're up there.
Your upstairs people are gonna be like, Mike sucks too down here. Right?
I know. So I'm up there with a cookie sheet doing this on the.
Really going on.
We might need to order out for you.
Uber Eats can be your best friend.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We hear it all the time. It's not just you. It's what it is. People have their alarms too close to their stove, so make sure it's at least 10 feet away. But anyways,
mine's in the back bedroom.
Well, we can't help that, right? So, Sharon, you know what? We'll just let his house burn down, and he's one of the statistical people that no. Okay.
No,
the neighbors hate me.
That's right.
No, I'm sorry. Maybe we'll sign you up for some lessons or something there, my God. Anyway, all right. So traditionally, people who wanted this interconnected system needed to have an orange wire already installed in their homes, right? So for houses built after around 2000, they were pre-wired for the interconnect system. And again, it's that orange wire. If you ever wondered what it was, that's exactly what it is. But for houses like mine, where I'm sitting, I don't have the pre-wire for the interconnected system. So if I wanted that, best of class right now system interconnected, I really would have to hire the nerd herd and an electrician to come in and install the alarms, right? So we said, okay, there has to be a solution to this. And it is sitting next to you, gentlemen, right there. So we built a system. We call it the Intelligent Wire-Free System. And it interconnects without the orange wire. So it's kind of like a Bluetooth system. And now, Mike, no pressure, but my mother set these up, and she has to call me to ask me how to download an app on her iPhone. So
well,
I mean,
knowing Nathan, he sabotaged it. So I
No,
look like
I did not. No, even
no, he did not.
I did not do that. So if you can't figure it out, it's on you, buddy.
I got to preload this one.
All right. So this technology, the interconnect wireless technology that you have in there, it's kind of, so I was doing as much research as I could about this, but you guys have a lot of this stuff locked down. So good job for you guys. Is this kind of like the WhisperNet that Amazon had? Essentially, Amazon had when they first came out with their laptops and their ability to download their Kindle books. They used the ability of traditional RF signals to connect to other devices so that they can actually download small books in different. Are you guys actually using an RF signal, or do you know how you guys are actually connecting to that?
We are using a proprietary radio signal.
Okay.
And and the reason, and you're probably like why? And here's why. Would you want your smoke alarms or carbon monoxide alarms to be hacked? No. So that's why it's proprietary. We wanted to make sure that it stays as secure. I mean, your life may depend on these devices working. So absolutely. We built them hopefully to save your life. Yes.
So it's incompatible with Amazon Sidewalk.
So yes, so this does not have to be an IoT device, right? Because everybody has IoT devices now, right? So you can you got to download an app, you hang on to the button 16 times, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then hopefully it works. And if your internet is down, then all of your stuff's down, and so it's not working. And it's like, we have a fire, and I'm away from the house, and my internet's off. Guess what? I'm not going to know that it's burning down. Which, if you know, a lot of fires happen from normally the electronic components. So if you actually had your wireless modem in some type of little computer closet or something
in your
like
closet,
that, where it's overheating,
and
all of a sudden it sparks a fire. Your fire comes in that area. It takes your internet off, and now all of a sudden all the rest of your stuff is. But yours is not that. So it provides the ability to still hear and have that information available.
That is right. And that's one of the reasons we engineered it that way, is because, hey, you know what happens like when your power goes out? So I know you guys had some terrible winter storms a couple of winters ago, and power was out. And that's when people start to do things that actually create hazards, like using the fireplace they haven't used for 20 years, or, they bring a generator.
Barbecue grill
in their barbecue grill in their house. Yeah.
Like, I know we're kind of kidding, but people actually do it. So people stop.
I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding.
They did it, especially here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's why warning labels exist on things, because somebody did it.
That's why there's places called Darrington and Startup. That's where those people know. I'm just joking.
Man,
I just lost 2 areas of listeners. That's right.
I'm sorry. No, you guys, in Texas, when the weather happened, in February, people were actually breaking their furniture apart and throwing it in the fireplace. Yeah. And it was such please don't do that. Please don't ever do that. But anyway, so when the power's out, people turn to devices that actually create the hazards, like fire hazard or carbon monoxide hazard. Please, if you take one thing away from this, never bring a generator indoors, ever. One generator can produce the same carbon monoxide as 100 idling cars. Did you know that?
Wow, I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
All right, but before we go to
Okay,
commercial
sorry.
break, I
Sorry.
got a stat for you. Here's a stat that just was published for the last it's been published for the last 7 years, but last year's annual average of number of fires reported to local fire departments in the United States. Residentially, there was 382,399 fires, 2,746 civilian deaths, 11,477 civilian injuries, and over $7 million in property loss. That is in residential area. The overall all fire casualties are only 10,000. So this is over 70% of all property loss due to fires happen in residential homes.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is a stat that you can have as we go to commercial break. We're going to have to take a commercial break and be right back here. Sharon, you're going to go with the walkthrough here and help Mike set up these devices and see if we can get them all working together. I am Nathan Mumm. We got Mike O'Day over here that's going to be looking at the rule book during this commercial, or the instructions during the commercial break. Mr. Brown behind the board over there. We'll see you after this.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
Hi, this is Lisa Downs, host of Reigniting You, a new show here on KKNW that explores a variety of topics and timely issues for making mid to late career transitions. I'll be here every Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock bringing you guest interviews, career transition advice, and great stories to guide you to what's next in your career and life. Gain a renewed sense of purpose for your next phase with a positive, forward-looking approach. Get ready to be re-energized, recharged, and reignited Wednesdays at 3 o'clock.
This your favorite music?
This is my favorite music.
Oh, okay. I thought the other one was your favorite.
The other one is kind of 70s.
70s music? You don't like it as much?
It's my,
It's your second favorite?
It's my second
Okay,
favorite.
all right, here we go. Well, welcome back to Tech Time Radio as we're talking about our intro music, because Mike and I are done with our whiskey. We had to talk about something else during the break. So what did you think of the Stones with the whiskey? Did you like that?
You know, I don't think they were cold enough.
I don't either.
I don't normally drink whiskey on the rock, so
Neither do I.
I don't know how to.
So if I didn't have to transport him here
yet.
in my little igloo type of deal, then maybe it would have worked. And so we'll see what happens next time.
Maybe that's what I'll do.
Maybe we need a bigger
later.
glass with 4 of them all at one time. Maybe it'll keep it a little bit colder. All right.
Or
Okay.
maybe I just need to go to a bar and sample some whiskey on the rocks,
There
because
you
I
go.
usually just do it neat.
So do I.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go about our whiskey subject. Well, we are trying to prepare. Mike was delaying the inevitable as we bring up Sharon again on the kitty device here. We have Mike and a quick start guide here. So we are going to I'm going to watch because this is awesome. Sharon, you and Mike are going to go through setting up one of these devices and we'll see if they work. I have not altered them, so if he can't get them working, that's just him. But he already poisoned the well.
Telling the truth. He did not alter them.
I did not alter them, so
okay.
they are ready to go here. So we will take.
Nobody's
going
going to believe you.
Thank you. You tried to poison the well before that, and
Yeah,
David
see,
just helped me out.
The
Thank
way
you.
you keep defending yourself,
I
it's
will.
just making you look worse.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and you get this in your your area and go from there.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
What did you,
Come on, Mike. You
Well,
can do it.
Are you going to walk me through it, or am I just going to do it?
Yes. Well, yes, I can absolutely walk you through it. So the first thing, do you have the red? Well, I feel like you do have the red key because I just heard the alarms
just heard it.
activate.
so he has the key from the Kickstarter, from the quick start guides.
That's right. So there's a little red key, and you just use that to turn the wheel. So you're basically turning all of the alarms on. And so you have them all on now, correct?
Yep.
All right. Those are your
Now the
alarms.
batteries last how long? The batteries last how long
Boom.
on these?
What a great question. 10 years. They have built in 10-year batteries. You cannot replace the batteries, nor do you need to. So when the batteries wear out, they will tell you it's time to replace the batteries or to replace the alarm. So you're good to go. It's really hassle-free.
Now, if one of the alarms go out at your 9.5, do all of them go out at the same time? So you hear them all talking to you, or is it just that one?
Just that one should go out. Should tell you I have a problem. Yes. And then these are color coded as well. So they have a green light, which is good, right? Green always equals good. Yellow means it's got a little problem, and red means it has a serious issue.
So these are all red right now.
They're seriously
they're ready.
right now.
They're ready to, once they're installed over that. So now they're ready to connect. So now you just need to choose one alarm to be your master. And it doesn't matter which one. And then you'll hold your finger down on the center button until you hear, I think, 2 beeps. It should be about 5 seconds.
There you go. 2 beeps.
There.
Okay.
Flashing green. Whoa.
Wow. So what it did is it? What happened? What color are these now?
I feel like I'm in a submarine.
Do you feel like
I know. We should be underwater or something right now.
I've never heard that. That's great.
So essentially, you held it down for 2 seconds.
Uh-huh.
It saw every device that was in the area, and now all of them are on with this little green thing, and we're listening to a little bit of a
sonar ping. Okay, so now let's close that loop. So on that same alarm, hold your finger down again for about 5 seconds until it gives you another double beep.
All right.
Boom.
Okay, what is it? It said setup complete. After you held it down for another 2 seconds, and all of them turned on, and it said setup complete.
Yep.
That's right. So now you're ready to install. So these, again, like you were asking before the break, these operate without Wi-Fi. If your Wi-Fi goes down, your alarms are still working. We want them to work in case of a power outage. So you're ready to install. No downloading of a smartphone app, no hitting the refresh button 100 times, no, setting up an account. These guys are ready to roll. All you need to do is install them on the ceiling now.
How close do they have to be to communicate with each other?
Great question. The maximum range is about 300 feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And then with the technology,
I think
doing as much technology research as I could about this, as long as there's one within that 300 feet, then that will then go to another device. It's another 200 to 300 feet, and then another device is 200 to 300 feet, and kind of repeats through each of those devices.
And how many devices can you have on one network?
Great question. You can have 12 smoke alarms on one network and 18 total devices. So you can have some like carbon monoxide alarms on the network as well. So 12 is the magic number.
All right.
So let me just tell you, 12 times 300 feet. I mean, that's a pretty big mansion. So you can put these, it's just about anybody's, just as Jeff Bezos' houses could be taken care of with these bad boys.
You think that would fit on his Uber boat or whatever?
His new yacht that he has coming?
What is that called? The Ultra Yacht or whatever?
Yeah, he has to have a secondary boat just to land his helicopter because it can't come
I know, he has to have a support yacht. For
I don't know if it can fit on that, but I can tell you for sure that this could work in probably 90% of the houses in America. Without a network,
the first thing I'm going to do is install a bunch in the house, and then cook something
on purpose, so I can go on.
That's right. I'm really going to irritate it. I'm going to send one to my neighbor too.
So let me ask you if it does, if you need to reset them. That's the one question. So let's say Mike's cooking and it does go off, and we have an issue here. Does he just hit the button to reset them all, or how would you go about to make sure that you say, yeah, you know what, I screwed up in my cooking and it really isn't a fire?
There is a hush functionality on these. So you could just tap the button to hush it, and it should deactivate for 2 to 4 minutes. We got you covered, Mike. We got you covered.
That's good.
So then, if you still have smoke after 4 minutes, you have to keep on hushing.
I don't have to wave a.
We hope
cookie sheet at it.
That's
for
right.
10 minutes.
That's right. All right, Sharon, where can we find these to buy these? What are the price points? And we thank you so much for being on our show and helping us set these up. So where can we find these, and how do we get these for our houses?
You can find them on our website, Kidde, KIDDE.com. Looks like Kitty, KIDDE.com. Or you can find them at a variety of major retailers like the Home Depot, Walmart, Amazon. The list goes on. So, yes.
And what's the retail price of one of these?
Depends on which one you buy. They come with a bunch of bells and whistles, but between $50 to $100.
$50 to $100. So you
Yeah.
get a couple of these and 6 or 7 of these, 12 in your house, so that you can make sure every space is taken care of.
I have some
You
really
got some
interesting ideas about how I could punk people with these.
All right. Well, hopefully Mike buys 12 of them, so then there you go.
I'm going to set them up down my street, 300 feet 298 feet apart.
And then you can put them on
And
the
then I'm
outside of
gonna
buildings.
cook something.
Oh, there you go. All right. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Sharon, we'll definitely have more information posted on our website. We'll have this whole interview for anybody that wants to re-listen to this again at techtimeradio.com underneath guests. Thank you very much for being a part of our show, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate you guys. I had the best time ever. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come on back, we have our hacker breach using an ATM's handy cell phone with NFC compliance issues, which are called near-field communication issues, right after this on Protect Yourself Today.
Yay.
Hello, Seattle. How would you like to have immediate and easy access to your live EKG and heart rate data? Your data right at your fingertips and with no need to hook up wires and leads or be strapped to a machine at the doctor's office. The new Pulse device from Vivomi continuously tracks your EKG and displays this data on your mobile phone. Have you ever wondered how your EKG and heart rate behaves when you're exercising at the gym, navigating the stressful demands of the workday, or just getting the kids ready for school or relaxing at home? The Pulse is a different kind of wearable, and you can experience this difference by going to www.vivomi.com and ordering your device today.
Hey, honey, did you hear what I heard?
What's up, babe?
I heard Mike over there at TechTime Radio. He's like battling he's in the like that the swimming with the sharks in that singles arena, if you will. You know?
Oh, bless his heart. And
Oh.
I also heard, like you did, that maybe things aren't going so great. You know what he needs, babe?
I think he needs to spend a little time in Love Shack.
Yeah, Love Shack. The Love Shack that airs every Thursday at 1 p.m. PST on KKNW 1150.
Come on, Mike. Come on over and join us. We got you.
Your business deserves the same expertise as that of a Fortune 500 company. If you need a CIO-level service, why hire a full-time staff member at $250,000 a year when you can get this on-demand service for fractions of the cost? As your CIO on demand, we'll give you the steps you need to take so as to minimize interruption to your business and profitability, and provide you and your business with training and education to prevent future attacks. To get an efficiency review for your business today, contact us at www.ee-services.com.
Welcome back to Tech Time Radio. We're rolling through our 2-hour show, and we're on to our last segment. This is the current news on breach, cyber attacks, and identity theft across the globe. Mike, this is your uplifting,
This is the drinking segment.
inspirational part of the show that you love so much. Let's start our next segment.
Protect yourself today.
All right, story number 1. Hacker breaches ATMs using only a handy cell phone using modern near-field communication NFC systems remaining in a decade-old phone.
Okay, we'll explain that.
Okay, so first of all, if you're familiar with any of the near-field communications, that would be like a comm badge that you have when you go up to a door and you scan it. You have the ability to scan it.
So an RFID chip?
Yeah, and it's a near field, which means that I can wirelessly connect to your device. Okay. It's not Bluetooth, so It's a near field, a little bit limited in the space that it has, and the ability and the technology is a little bit slower. It's been around for quite a long time.
So this is a proximity card, right?
It's like a proximity card area. That is correct, yes. So let's say I'm trying to hack into David's computer over here. If I had my phone on, I could be close enough to do that, and I could be hacking and using tools on my phone if I could properly be accepted by the device that's available there.
Okay, and that's the gist of what we're going to be talking
That's what we're going to be talking about. So the ATM hack is nothing new. Like any human design system, there are bound to contain a few flaws or simply failures over time for technology. Unlike hardware, ATMs are still very old school in technology.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we think of ATMs, they've been around for quite a long time. Really, the original ATMs, process algorithms and logic boards still exist. People still use those. And they don't update those every 2 years, every 4 years. So what happens is your phone gets more and more into technology every 2 or 3 years, and they pretty much stay dormant. Now, most of the time with ATMs, you have to actually connect to a physical USB port, right? So you'd have to go up to the device, plug something into it so that you have access to it. But not anymore with a specific individual called Joseph Rodriguez, a researcher and consultant for a security firm called IOActive.
Not FireEye.
Not FireEye. That's actually written here too. Not FireEye. So they actually have technology that they know. Has built a collection of bugs affecting the near-field communication systems. Essentially, they have created a lot of modern machines rely on wireless transmitted data, and they have taken codes from all of the NFC items that are available so they can program it into phones and have done simple scripting to be able to access other devices. Rodriguez, who's hired to legally test machines to improve their security, has been able to use NFC readers to trigger what programs call buffer overflows. Now, a buffer overflow is essentially when you use up too much memory in a computer. It fills all the memory up itself so it can't write anything anymore.
Right.
Very common in older CPU processing machines and older machines that they would have buffer overflows exploited.
Is this like Netflix buffering?
Not like Netflix buffering of your network because it's slow because it's hot out. No, not because of that.
Okay.
But
Just make it clear.
this is essentially taking all the mathematical computations that a CPU can use, filling it up so there's no more room for the CPU to have that information.
This is what some viruses do.
Yep, there used to be viruses that would overheat processors by doing buffer overflows.
Yeah.
Essentially what happens is most of the time when this happens, the machine is self-reliant upon the ability of a buffer overflow, and it'll reboot its processes. Or it'll get into an area where it doesn't know what to do, so it'll open up access to other devices and other parts of the machine because it's not a common process within itself.
Mhm.
People don't write specific code or algorithms to say, if this happens, then go into the other areas. So he exploits that, which essentially corrupts the machine's memory. This is a decade-old attack that Rodriguez has exploited ATMs and other point-of-sales machines. So think of a retail store check-it-out machines, not the old ones that you'd have to type in and pull down the crank, or the old ones you'd hit the return button and pop out.
What decade are you from?
Well, that's, I used to go to the candy store, and the poor guy would hit 5 on the punch deal.
That was like in the 70s.
Well, okay, so we're a little bit older. So essentially what happens is he has the ability with this device on these phones to go into retail machines and essentially create a jackpotting process where essentially it'll open it up and it'll make noise and maximize the ability of this. And he's done this to a whole bunch of ATMs.
So he creates a buffering overflowed, which actually triggers a response from the machine that spits money out.
That's correct. Literally splits it out.
I could use that.
Yeah, so it just spits it out just like you see on the movies.
What's his number? I need to call that guy.
All right, so Rodriguez has built an Android app that allows a smartphone to mimic those credit card radio communications and exploit flaws in the NFC firmware. With a wave of his phone, he can exploit a variety of bugs to crash point-of-sale devices, hack into them to collect and transmit credit card data, and invisibly change the value of transactions, and even lock the devices while displaying a ransomware message.
Wow.
So he can create hey, your machine's been hacked, you need to call this right now, and he can watch and see what's happening on those devices. Nevertheless, being bothered that a decade-old...
That's a cool job.
That a decade-old technique is still affecting a host of modern machines. He intends to disclose more technical details in the coming weeks in an effort to call attention to the abysmal state of embedded device security.
So the question that automatically comes up then is, can this be fixed?
I'm sure it can be fixed. If people would upgrade their firmware in these machines, they absolutely could do that to fix these.
Hey, we're done.
Well, no, we're not. We got one more story. We got a minute 19. I know what that time is. It's minute 19 exactly.
All right, better start. Better start talking.
All right, story number 2. Apple lawyers warn King and other anonymous leakers that they are no longer allowed to leak Apple information. So Apple, be careful what you wish for, because people have been able to compromise and release photos months and years ahead of your iPhone releases and laptop releases to generate buzz around those technology items, and you are now shutting down those secret individuals that release it to garner all your PR and excitement regarding these machines. Apple has gone out and said that it will contact key individuals that have leaked this information over the last couple of years and no longer able them to have information that's there.
All right.
You see David?
David's giving you a one-finger salute, buddy.
He has given me a one. This one was going around like this, though, so that was a nicer salute than some of the other ones.
That was a nicer one.
All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our 2 hours. Hopefully you had a chance to say, and learn some technology news. I'm Nathan Mumm. We got Mike Corday here, David Brown behind the board. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment in technology today. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service from Apple to Google and everything in between. And also signing up on our YouTube page, where you get to see us live in video. Yep, you can see us chat and have some fun. It's youtube.com/TechTime Radio. All one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
The views expressed on this program are those of the